Y'all, she exposed everything. But even that wasn't enough to prepare anyone for what Todd Tucker unleashed next. Because this time it wasn't rumors, it wasn't shade, it wasn't speculation. This was the kind of truth that tears the ground open beneath your feet and drags every secret screaming into the light. When Todd stepped into that room, cameras flashing, reporters fighting for position, he didn't look like a reality star anymore. He looked like a man carrying the weight of a betrayal so deep it had hollowed him out from the inside. His voice didn't shake. His hands didn't tremble. His eyes didn't blink. He walked straight to the mic like someone who had rehearsed this moment in every nightmare he'd survived. And when he opened his mouth, the entire Bravo universe collapsed under a single sentence. I am suing Kandi Burruss for $60 million. The words ricocheted through the room like gunfire. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody even whispered. And then he did the one thing nobody expected. He lifted the DNA report into the air, the same report that shattered his life, and the name printed beneath the results sent shockwaves across the world. Juan Clark. In that moment, every clip fans ignored, every whisper they dismissed, every strange look they brushed aside snapped into brutal focus. Todd wasn't just exposing a lie. He was detonating a truth powerful enough to destroy reputations, friendships, and a carefully crafted public image that had survived for decades. If you think you know this story, you don't. If you think this betrayal has reached its limit, it hasn't. And if you think this scandal is slowing down, buckle up. The real collapse starts now. Buckle up, because the moment Todd Tucker opened his mouth after that DNA scandal, the entire entertainment world felt the ground shift. Not wobble. Not tremble. As if every secret hidden behind polished interviews and Bravo smiles had finally run out of oxygen. The truth had been clawing at the walls for years, and now that it escaped, it was hungry. The days following the DNA leak were brutal. Fans were refreshing timelines like their lives depended on it. Every gossip page was posting updates faster than they could type. Clips were being dissected, slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed like crime footage. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared anyone for the next explosion Todd delivered. He stood in front of the microphones looking like a man who had shed everything soft inside him. No gentleness. No trembling. No hesitation. His face was carved with exhaustion, but his voice carried a fire that burned through every camera lens pointed at him. The world expected denial. Expected breakdown. Expected confusion. What they got instead was a declaration of war. I am suing Kandi Burruss for $60 million. The room didn't gasp. It detonated. The noise was instant and violent. Reporters shuffling, people grabbing phones, producers shouting into earpieces, fans screaming online within seconds. Nobody even had time to process the number before Todd lifted the DNA report like a final verdict and let the cameras capture the name that destroyed whatever was left of him. Juan Clark. It wasn't the name of a stranger. It wasn't a rumor from an unknown source. It was the man Kandi had trusted with her brand, her image, her personal world, and, apparently, the parts of her life meant only for her husband. In the moment his name appeared on that report, everything viewers thought they knew about this family shattered. Todd didn't pace. He didn't cry. He didn't yell. He just breathed, heavy and slow, like the truth was finally too heavy to stay hidden another second. She lived a double life, he said. One life with me, and another life with him. It wasn't the words. It was the way he said them, quiet, controlled, stripped of all softness. A man speaking from the ruins of the world he built with his own hands. He wasn't performing. He wasn't embellishing. He was bleeding out the truth. He continued, for years she made me believe those kids were mine. She let me love them like a father. She let me build memories with them. She let me protect them. And all that time, she knew. Each sentence felt like a punch straight to the ribs. Reporters couldn't even form questions. They were too stunned listening to a betrayal that went far beyond cheating. This wasn't a one-night violation. This was a lifelong deception. A deception that stretched through birthdays, celebrations, family dinners, quiet mornings, and tear-filled nights. A deception that forced Todd to play the role of a father to children who, according to the report, weren't biologically his. He held the report up again, hands shaking slightly, not from weakness but fury. She told me Ace was mine. She told me Blaze was mine. She looked me in the eyes and said it with confidence. And I believed her. Because that's what husbands do. They trust. He paused, swallowing hard, eyes burning with a grief so raw it felt like the whole room could feel it pressing through their screens. And this is what I got in return. Social media lost its mind. This can't be real. Juan? I feel sick. Kandi, why? Todd did not deserve this. This is the most insane downfall I've ever seen. Meanwhile, Todd wasn't finished. He leaned forward, gripping the podium so hard his knuckles whitened. I wasn't just betrayed, he said. I was used. I was a face for the public. A shield. A prop for her image. People started crying in the comments. Real tears. Because this wasn't just drama anymore. This was destruction. She built a life with him behind my back, Todd continued. I picked up the pieces. I paid the bills. I carried the pressure. And she was giving her heart, her time, and her body to someone else. No theatrics. No exaggeration. Just a man peeling open every wound with precision. The cameras captured every twitch in his jaw, every flicker in his eyes, every tiny moment where it looked like he might collapse but refused to. 11 years, he said. I gave her 11 years. I defended her. I stood by her. I fought for her even when the world didn't. And she repaid me with secrets. The words dripped like poison. And you want to know the worst part? He asked, voice lowering into something darker. I saw signs. I ignored them. I blamed myself. I told myself I was thinking too much. But I wasn't. Every suspicion, every gut feeling, every uneasy moment, it was all real. He wasn't just talking to the cameras anymore. He was talking to every person who had ever ignored the truth sitting right in front of them. I saw them together, he said. Not holding hands. Not kissing. But you don't need physical proof to know when someone is emotionally gone. When someone looks at another person like they never looked at you. He paused again, breathing through the weight crushing his chest. That night in the hotel lobby, he said quietly, that was the moment everything broke. The way they looked at each other, it wasn't work. It wasn't friendship. It was connection. It was history. It was intimacy. And I realized I had been living in the shadows of their story. Someone in the press room whispered, "My God." Todd didn't look up. He just kept going, the words falling out like stones dropped from a great height. I wasn't the husband. I was the cover-up. Online, fans were typing so fast their keyboards were breaking. People were screen recording, crying, screaming, shocked, heartbroken, angry. The story wasn't just trending, it was consuming everything else happening on the internet. Todd rested his hands on the podium, staring straight into the cameras with eyes that had seen too much. This lawsuit isn't about money, he said. It's about accountability. It's about betrayal. It's about years I can't get back. And it's about the truth those kids deserve to know long before today. He stepped away from the mic without another word. No closing statement. No dramatic exit. Just a man walking away from what used to be his life. Behind him, the world erupted. In front of him, only silence waited. Inside him, everything burned. And everyone watching knew one thing. This wasn't the end. This was the spark. The fire was still coming. The fallout from Todd Tucker's announcement didn't fade overnight. It spread like wildfire. Every hour, new layers peeled back, exposing wounds deeper than anyone imagined. Fans weren't just watching a scandal anymore. They were watching a life unravel in real time. And Todd, he wasn't hiding from it. He was standing inside the storm, letting the world witness every piece of the destruction he'd been carrying alone for years. The morning after the press conference, the streets outside his home were flooded with cameras. Not because he was a celebrity, but because he was a man who had detonated a truth powerful enough to drown the entire Bravo landscape. Every network wanted a soundbite. Every journalist wanted the next quote that might break the internet again. But Todd wasn't speaking. He sat near the window, staring at nothing, fingers tapping against his knee like he was trying to keep himself from falling apart. He didn't cry. Not this time. His eyes were empty, hollow, the kind of emptiness that doesn't come from sadness but from the realization that the life you lived was never really yours. And in that silence, the world fed itself on speculation. Fans went through years of footage, pausing on moments they once ignored. The glance Candy gave Don Juan during a reunion episode. The way he always stood a little too close backstage. The half-smiles they shared in green rooms. The protective comments she made whenever anyone criticized him. The subtle tension whenever Todd questioned her schedules. Every clip was now being reshaped into something darker, something sharper, something that screamed, "How did we miss this?" Meanwhile, Todd picked up his phone for the first time since the lawsuit went public. It wasn't a message from a fan or a producer. It was a voicemail. The voice on the other end cracked before a single word even came out. It was someone he trusted, someone who had known him before the cameras, before the fame, before the spiral. "Todd, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this. He replayed that 5-second message more times than he should have. Not because it comforted him, but because it reminded him that at least someone understood the hollow ache inside him. But even that brief softness couldn't drown out the chaos pouring in from every direction. By afternoon, talk shows were calling it the biggest betrayal scandal in reality TV history. Journalists were debating whether Todd's lawsuit would change how celebrity marriages are viewed. Some sympathized with him. Others questioned every detail. But the loudest echo came from fans who refused to stay quiet. Protect Todd at all costs. Candy owes the world an explanation. Don Juan better come out of hiding. This is bigger than a storyline. This is emotional destruction. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was global conversation. Inside the living room, Todd finally stood up. There was a seriousness in his posture that wasn't there before. A heaviness that replaced the shock with something colder, steadier. He walked to the shelf where old pictures sat. Family portraits, holiday smiles, memories that felt poisonous now. He picked up one photo of Ace's first birthday. He stared at it for a long time, his eyes softening in a way that hurt to watch. "They didn't ask for this," he whispered. His voice cracked just a bit, the whisper carrying a heartbreak that couldn't be hidden even if he tried. He placed the photo back down carefully, almost like touching it too roughly might shatter everything inside it all over again. That's when the knock at the door came. It wasn't loud. It wasn't aggressive. It was hesitant, almost apologetic. Todd didn't open it at first. The knocking continued, soft, gentle, like someone unsure if they should even be there. When he finally opened the door, the person standing on the other side wasn't a reporter or a fan. It was someone he once considered family. Someone who had been around since the early days. The kind of person who knew the truth long before the world did. "Todd?" they whispered, eyes already glassy. He didn't respond. He stepped aside silently, letting them walk in. They sat down across from him, hands shaking. "I should have told you," they said. "I saw things. Not everything, but enough to know something wasn't right. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to destroy your marriage. I thought it would stop. I thought she would choose you." Todd didn't blink. He didn't speak. He didn't react. But the stillness in him darkened, like a shadow sliding across his face. "How long?" he asked quietly. Their mouth trembled. "A long time." The silence between them cracked like glass under pressure. Todd finally spoke, the words low and sharp. "You watched me love her. You watched me defend her. You watched me raise those kids like they were mine. And you said nothing." The visitor lowered their eyes. "I was scared." Todd's voice turned into a whisper that felt like a dagger. "I was living in the middle of a lie. And everyone else saw it except me." The visitor didn't stay long. When they left, the house felt heavier than before. The weight of betrayal wasn't just coming from Candy now, it was coming from the people who stayed silent while watching him drown. The internet had no idea what had just happened. But it didn't need to. The story was already spiraling in ways nobody could control. Another headline broke within minutes. Sources claimed Don Juan cleared his entire phone. Fans ask why. Then another. Candy still silent as lawsuit explodes across media. Then another. Todd's team confirms, he is done protecting her. Humans have a strange instinct. They can sense when someone reaches their breaking point. And Todd had crossed his. He walked into his bedroom where a stack of documents lay scattered on the bed. Legal papers. Statements. Evidence. Things he never imagined he'd need. He picked up one photo, Candy laughing with Don Juan in a green room. He stared at it until the edges blurred. "That laugh wasn't for me," he murmured, each syllable filled with bitterness carved from heartbreak. His hands trembled, but he didn't drop the picture. He pressed it against the bed and closed his eyes, pain tightening every muscle in his face. "I was never the husband," he said. "I was the distraction." Outside, the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the floor, stretching into the room like fingers reaching for whatever pieces were left of him. But Todd didn't flinch. He let the shadows swallow him because he had nothing left to protect, nothing left to pretend, nothing left to lose. The next phase of the story wasn't just coming. It was already here. And the world could feel it. The world thought the storm had peaked, but they were wrong. The real collapse didn't start with the press conference or the lawsuit. It started the moment Todd Tucker finally realized there was no turning back, no fixing, no healing, no forgiveness. Only truth, destruction, and the wreckage of everything he once believed was real. That night, after the unexpected visitor left him alone with the confession he never wanted to hear, Todd felt the last thread inside him snap. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was silent, sharp, and irreversible. The kind of break that changes a man's posture, his heartbeat, his breathing, changes the way he sees the world entirely. Outside, fans were glued to their screens as updates continued to pour in. People didn't just want information, they needed it. They needed to understand how two people who looked so perfect on camera ended up here, buried under decades of secrets. But inside Todd's house, time felt frozen, thick, and unforgiving. He sat on the edge of his bed staring at the bottom corner of the wall like it held the answer to every question he'd been too afraid to ask. His voice came out as a whisper, barely audible, yet heavy enough to fill the room. How long was I supposed to live blind? The question wasn't meant for anyone. It was meant for the universe. The ache behind it didn't fade. It spread, slow and merciless. Meanwhile, the world kept spinning out of control. Gossip pages went into emergency posting mode. Hashtags reached millions within minutes. Even celebrities who normally stayed out of drama began weighing in, calling it one of the darkest betrayals in TV history. Every hour, someone found a new clip, a new proof, a new hint that pointed to something deeper, uglier. Someone dug up an old video of Don Juan giving Candy a hug backstage while Todd watched from a distance. Someone else found a clip from years ago where Candy was asked who she trusted most in the industry, and she said Don Juan without even looking at Todd. That clip alone hit 10 million views in one night. Fans were stitching years of footage together with a fury that felt unstoppable. Inside, Todd finally stood up as if pulled by gravity stronger than the pain weighing on him. He walked into the hallway and stopped in front of a framed photo of Candy holding Ace. He stared at her smile, the bright, confident smile she had perfected over years in the public eye. But now it looked different. It looked staged, practiced, hollow. He reached out and touched the glass, his fingers trembling. "I believed this," he muttered. "I believed everything." The breath that followed sounded like it scraped his ribs. He moved to the next room, the one filled with boxes of old memories, tour passes, backstage photos, gifts fans had sent over the years. He opened one box and pulled out a handwritten birthday letter Candy once gave him. The words were beautiful then. They were knives now. He read one line twice. "You are the only man I trust more than anyone." He almost laughed. Almost. But the sound that came out wasn't amusement. It was disbelief mixed with heartbreak so raw it felt like someone had ripped him open. He dropped the letter back into the box as a thud echoed through the room. At the same moment, his phone buzzed again. This time not a friend. Not a reporter. Someone from production. A message that read, "Everything is blowing up. They're asking if you want to give a sit-down interview. They'll air it unedited." He stared at the message for a long time. A slow, burning resolve formed in his eyes. Not revenge. Not anger. Something deeper. Something steadier. A need to reclaim the narrative before anyone else twisted it into something it wasn't. He typed only 2 words. "I'm ready." Across the city, the interview preparations began instantly. But before Todd could even step into that next chapter, a new shockwave hit the internet. A leaked audio clip. No one knew where it came from. No one knew who recorded it. But what mattered was that it existed, and it spread faster than flames in a dry forest. In the audio, a familiar voice, shaky, emotional, exhausted, said, "I can't keep hiding this anymore." People speculated immediately. Was it Candy? Was it Don Juan? Was it someone from their circle? The audio was only 12 seconds long, but it was enough to send fans spiraling into chaos. Theories multiplied. Panic rose. Every gossip channel went live at once, trying to break down who the voice belonged to. Inside his home, Todd listened to the clip once, then again. His expression twisted, not in surprise but in confirmation. Another truth inching closer to the surface. Another secret cracking open. He whispered to himself, "It's starting." He knew something bigger was coming. Something he couldn't control. Something no one could stop once it began. It didn't take long. The next blow came when a producer from a major news outlet released a statement. A member of Candy's inner circle is negotiating to reveal everything. Everything. The word hit Todd like a punch to the chest. Not because he didn't expect it, he did. He always knew this wasn't a small mistake or a one-time betrayal. It was a web. A network of lies. A carefully constructed world hiding behind the fame. He sat down slowly, the weight of anticipation mixing with dread. If someone from her inner circle talked, the facade would crumble fully. The image she built over years would collapse in front of millions. And Todd, despite everything, felt something unexpected. Sympathy. But the sympathy lasted only a moment. The pain drowned it. The next morning, Todd received another message, this time from someone anonymous. The message read, "You didn't hear it from me, but you were right about everything." He stared at the message until his vision blurred. Outside, reporters called his name from the sidewalk. Fans shouted support. Others shouted questions. But inside the house, he finally broke the silence and whispered through clenched teeth, "She destroyed my life, and now her truth is coming for hers." His phone rang again, his attorney. "Are you still committed to the lawsuit?" they asked. Todd didn't hesitate. More than ever. He walked to the window and looked out at the chaos. The flashes, the microphones, the shouting, the desperate hunger for answers. His voice was low but certain. "They wanted the truth," he said. "Now they'll get it." And in that moment, the world understood something chilling. Todd Tucker wasn't just exposing a betrayal. He was exposing an entire empire built on silence. And the collapse had only just begun. This story isn't slowing down. It's spiraling into a place nobody imagined, pulling the truth out of shadows that were never meant to be exposed. Todd Tucker didn't just break the silence. He ripped the mask off an entire world built on polished interviews, curated images, and secrets buried so deep even the fans didn't know where to look. Now those secrets are clawing their way to the surface, louder and messier with every new leak, and the people who once controlled the narrative are running out of places to hide. Every hour brings a new twist. Every day another crack appears in the foundation they swore would never fall apart. The betrayal, the manipulation, the quiet looks, the quiet lies, everything is collapsing at once and the shockwaves are hitting harder than anyone expected. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is a man trying to reclaim the life that was stolen from him, piece by piece, while the world watches with breath held and hearts breaking. If you've made it this far, you already know this scandal is nowhere near finished. There are still voices waiting to speak. There are still messages waiting to leak. There are still people in the background who know the truth and haven't decided whether to stay loyal or come clean. And when they finally choose, the fallout will be catastrophic. Don't look away. Don't blink. Don't convince yourself this is the end. Everything you've heard so far is only the beginning, and the next chapter is the one that will hit the hardest. Turn on your notifications. Stay locked in. The truth isn't done exploding. And when it lands, it's going to shake every corner of this story.